Hey guys, welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit Podcast, the last session of our open studio that we've been running all day today. And today, the biscuiteer joining me is Dee.
Hi, yeah, it has been a long day, especially for you.
It's not hard work for me though. This is what I enjoy. Do you know what I mean? It's the editing afterwards, but I love doing this for the town. So, and joined with us is Crystal from Crystal's Cupcakes. Yeah,
hello.
I'm dying to get you on the show for a long time, but you're a busy bee. You know, you're constantly working hard. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No worries.
I've been dying to get you on the show because you've kind of followed me to Shrewsbury, which is really pleasant. It's really nice. I love that because I lived in Dorley,
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I lived in just down the hill from from town.
Oh right, yeah.
So I used to have this tradition of the 2 days where I was at home alone when my wife was working and I had my little boy.
Yeah.
When he was little, we'd walk up to Crystal's Cupcakes and we'd buy a cupcake, bring it back, and we'd sit and watch, I don't know, CBeebies or whatever was watching, and eat our cakes.
Oh.
And next thing I know, you're at the parade.
Lots of people have said that actually. Suddenly, or they've like work in Shrewsbury and live in Telford, and they're like, oh, we can still get the cakes.
So I remember when you were moving in, it was all over socials. You saw your trays coming in.
Yeah.
And that's how I found out about you. And I think that's just before you even opened.
Yeah.
It was a big thing.
But even before Dorley, you were... Let's talk about where it began for you.
Yeah, it's, I think it's coming up to about 10 years now that I actually started cakes, which all just started by accident really, just one wet rainy day and baking at home when my children were young, and then it just sort of escalated, and then I got like a retro cake van. So it's really awkward in the beginning because you get so many friends and family asking you, and you end up just constantly making cakes for nothing, and it gets so awkward that I thought, right, I've got to somehow like set up a Facebook page so that it's quite clear that there is a price, because obviously I didn't have time to constantly be baking for nothing. So just went from there. Got a retro cake van, which I did up pink and blue, and tried to get a pitch everywhere I could. Kept getting refused.
And were you doing all your baking at the time from your home, from your kitchen?
Well, it was like a little galley kitchen on the side of the house. So
gosh.
So all from there, and then I took got the cake van, and then I took a little unit on, which was supposed to be just for the baking, to bake from, to take the cakes because eventually I got a pitch at Telford Town Park after lots of hounding, and that was really good. So, but then obviously it was always weather permitting and stuff. We could make hundreds of cakes turn up, and it could be, the heavens could open. So that's when then I decided to turn the miniature little unit into like a shop as well. It was the most random place ever, on an industrial site in the middle of nowhere, next to like a car place and a recycling place, and there was like literally people queuing up, women coming on their lunch break to sit by a big giant skip and have their cake. But yeah, it seemed to work, and but then it just outgrew that, and then a shop came up. At the time I lived in Dorley as well, and the shop came up there, and yeah, just went for it. So.
I think that's how I got introduced to you. My mom, Alison, she said she knows you. She used to love your cakes. She's like, Crystals. and then when you moved into Dorley, it was like, oh, she's just up the road from you, and you're here. Because it was such a popular thing. I'm going to go get Crystal's Cupcakes. That was one of the sayings. Like, I'm going to go Crystal's, get a cupcake. So what made you come from Dorley to Telford to here?
I actually moved myself about nearly 2 years ago now, I think it was. So I moved to Shrewsbury. There was also like the lease was coming to the end on the Dorley shop. There was some new changes to the lease, and I did consider keeping the two going. But over the years, I've been there, done that with a bigger shop and having people sit in and all that. And it's great when it's working, but obviously you're reliant on staff, you're reliant on lots of other factors when you've got
turnover as well, things like that.
Yeah. So it's a lot more pressure. So before I left Dorley, because I sort of had an idea that I may give the shop in due to the lease and lots of other things, I sort of started supplying to Greenfield Farm Shop, because I felt so tied to Telford, because literally like the customers are absolutely amazing. I mean, even now they come up literally all the time to the shop in Shrewsbury. So I sort of started the whole supply thing because I thought I really didn't want to let them down if I did, move completely. So that took off really well. And then I supplied to a place in Bridgenorth as well, Platform 10, and also supplied to, in lockdown, I started supplying to Bradley's Butchers as well, in Shrewsbury. So that all works. But so I was considering just doing the supply side of things, because I've got children as well. I've got 2 older children. I've got an 18-month-old
It's a lot
baby.
of work, a lot of hours.
Yeah, a baby on the way, and so I was just, I just wanted a really much healthier work-life balance, because I'd been there doing like 20-hour days and stuff, and so yeah, I was going to go into just supplying, and then this little unit come up in Shrewsbury. I got approached about the unit in the parade, and yeah, so it was literally just going to be takeout only, and for me, that's my dream now. It's like I say, I've been there, done that, and it's lovely to have the sit-in option, but it's more work, more stress, and like I say, I just want a healthier work-life balance. So it's just taken off brilliantly. Yeah.
So you said that you've been baking now for around about 10 years.
Yeah.
So when you started baking, cakes weren't as much of like a thing as they are, and now they're huge. You see them all over social media.
Yeah.
People using all these hashtags with all their cakes, and there's all like cakes, donuts, all those things. They're all like all these things that are classed as being really bad for you are so popular. So when you started back then, what was it that really kept your drive going?
I don't really know. I mean, to be honest, when I started baking, I was like the world's strictest mum. My children were young at the time. I actually preferred cooking over baking, which I still actually do. I love cooking. I used to do lots of youth work at the time, and then I got into teaching some cookery classes at college, and it was all to try and get people cooking from scratch and healthy meals. So it's quite ironic that I ended up with a cake shop. But yeah, my children, like my eldest, didn't even try chocolate till they were about 3. I was so strict. But it was just, I think the baking side is just like, I say, it's become a hobby, and then it just escalated from there.
It's a science though, isn't it, baking?
Yeah.
I mean,
It is.
my dad and my stepmom over in Ireland, they've been baking for decades.
Yeah.
And, you know, if a batch goes wrong...
Yeah.
Oh, it makes you so angry, doesn't it, when something goes wrong?
Yeah, because you're a baker.
I'm a baker, yeah. I'm massively into baking. It's like when I get really stressed now, I bake to calm myself down.
Yeah,
and I get some people to turn around to me going, oh yeah, I don't make cakes anymore because it's too stressful. And I'm like, I do it to de-stress.
Yeah.
Because I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I'm one of these people that I watch Bake Off like lads watch football.
Yeah.
And they were like sunk in the middle. I was like, oh my God, you put too much raisin agency in it. It's sunken in the middle. And I'd be like getting crazy, getting really angry at it. And I'd be like, oh, what's she using now? I was like, oh, is that a Genoese? Or would be more structure than that. And everyone would be listening to me going like, what is she going on about? But you would understand where I'm coming from with like different things. Yeah. And that's what I said to you, is like when you started, it wasn't so much of like a fad's a horrible word because it's not a fad, it's something to stay, I personally feel. But it wasn't like so much a hype that is going on now. You were in before the hype.
Yeah, but when I first opened the shop in Dawley, there was like, I remember like people coming to my shop and being showed around who were like thinking of opening dessert shops and stuff. Don't know which ones they went on to open, but there was like none of the little dessert shops about and stuff, and so we literally, I think for about the first 18 months, I can honestly say there was like a queue down the street every day before I even opened, and it was just ridiculous. I would be there at like 3 a.m. baking. It was it was relentless. I literally couldn't get out of the kitchen. It was just absolutely
So what kind of things is it that you're baking at the moment? Like, is it mainly cupcakes? Do you do specialist cakes for events, weddings, birthdays?
I did get drawn into that when I originally started. When I was doing it all from home, I had friends asking me to do fondant covered cakes, and I
oh God,
I got into that.
Sugar paste, fondant, no,
exactly, so I got into all that. But then they're just so time consuming, and people will never understand the hours that go into it.
And they don't taste the same. Fondant's quite sickly, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's I gave them the fondant a long time ago. I did get into the drip cakes, but again, now the amount of cakes we're having to do for the supply side of things and for the shop, I've just decided to take a step back from those as well, because it's all extra stress. It's like things booked in the diary, and you've got to make the cake for that day.
Do you do a lot of tray bakes as well, like brownies?
Yeah, those have took off really well. I mean, they've always been popular, but we do a hell of a lot of tray bakes now as well. So just try and keep the variation there, so keep things a bit more exciting. So
what is it about Crystal's cupcakes that causes the queues? What is it?
Well, actually, one of the older tenants from the parade wondered whether I was putting cannabis in them. Which I said he'd never seen people queue up for cakes, but I can guarantee there's no cannabis. I do have my own secret recipe, because exactly like you were saying, there was a science to them. And when I started baking from home, it was always, I could do the big cakes and the cupcakes would never turn out right. So I literally played around and did all this research into like the science of baking. And I found a completely different way of doing a cake, and I mixed it. That wasn't quite right, so I mixed it with another way. So it's like a completely my own unique recipe.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was such a control freak over it all for years. So it's only recently I've actually got helpers. Even they don't know the full recipe because I bag up the dry mix, so they'll never know my full recipe. And
that's a great thing, though, isn't it? It's like the cake version of KFC. Everyone's like, "What's the secret recipe?"
Yeah. So it's not like I'm not saying they're the best cakes in the world, but to me, like I think cupcakes do get a bad press for because as a small cake they can dry out very quickly. Yes. So with my recipe, it keeps them moister for longer, and it's just It's like I always think of you as like the Shrewsbury version of Finch Bakery. Have you ever heard of Finch? Yeah, I follow them.
Yeah, with all their keys, they're moving now, aren't they? As well to their premises. But I always think like when I see them, I always think, oh, you're like the Shrewsbury version of them.
Yeah, they've come on massively because I remember watching them in the beginning.
Well, they put their story up recently, haven't they? Everything going on.
Yeah.
But they're a bit like that. Like they do like theirs is obviously you've all got your own niches and the things that make you. Like they do a lot of like jar cakes and cakes and like they're ones where they basically put their leftover cake mix in a thing and they put their icing on it and you can buy like that. But I always think of you as in that sense, like when you first moved in, I was like, I wonder if it's going to be like that, and it has, like you say, with all the queues and everything like that. Yeah,
I was a bit worried when I first took it on. It was this time of year, which we always sort of go a little bit quieter, I think, with Christmas coming up and stuff. But the first day was really busy, and then we did have like a few really quiet weeks, and I was like, oh, what have I done? Because obviously Dawley was so successful, we didn't have a quiet day in like the 5 years I was in the Dawley shop. But then over time, it's just really picked up, and every week it just gets busier and busier. And Saturdays are just manic.
Are you taking Christmas cake orders?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I haven't been organised enough yet to promote that. But yeah, we will be taking orders for Christmas as well.
Oh, that's going to be a big
There's
one.
something amazing that's happened with the parade though recently. It's just sprung into life.
Yeah,
it really has over the last few weeks. Because we've been here for. God, it's got to be a year soon. And you know, from my time here, I've just seen it completely change. And even upstairs, downstairs, there's just people everywhere. Yeah, you know, and it's nice to see.
It's such a lovely building. It's such a lovely community here as well, with all the other shop owners and stuff. So,
and you're in a fab location as well. Yeah, brilliant spot.
And you know, there's something in Shrewsbury. I mean, you've got Duncan at Planet Donuts. You got you got people doing their own like dough and oil, doing their own little things. Yeah. There's something.
My daughter actually works there. My eldest daughter,
really,
yeah, she loves it there. Yeah,
there's just something really special about how we create.
It's a foodie town.
Yeah.
And you definitely moved to the right place to take advantage of that because people come here because I always thought that Ludlow was a foodie place. And over time it's come Shrewsbury's more kind of like those independent food places. They've all come here. I think it's because the council's kind of opened up a little bit, especially places like this have been like, come here, come closer to us.
No, it's lovely. That's why I love living in Shrewsbury, just the food is amazing.
And did I see a story about you giving cakes and things to nurses and things during the lockdown?
Yeah, well, it wasn't me personally, it wasn't out of mine when obviously it was during lockdown, but basically I started it off because I got asked for like a big, really large donation, and the NHS was saying, we're prepared to pay. I obviously would have given them a discount and everything, but I then thought, well, the more we can raise, the more we can sort of reach. So I just put it out there thinking, £200 would help towards it. But then it literally just escalated. So I think it was like £1,800 in the end. Wow. So I did the cakes at a much reduced price as I would normally sell them. So we managed to get like a hell of a lot of cakes. We tried, originally it was just going to be for NHS workers, and then obviously we just tried to just roll it out to everywhere. So there was the army, the police, anybody that we felt was under more pressure than usual, care homes, mental health workers. So it was just lovely to see them all sort of receive something.
That means an awful lot.
Yeah.
It means an awful lot to people that are the backs against the walls, and then you get this beautiful cake given to you by Christmas cupcakes.
Yeah, it was lovely as well in the end because it did obviously take off so well with the donations that we were able to to spread it out to people that would usually get forgotten about. So there was like community nurses that they said obviously a lot of the times people just think of the hospital. So it was lovely because they all got a little, every sector we tried to cover it all really. So
yeah, it's a trying time, lockdown. How have things been for you during the pandemic? Has it been one of those things because people are at home and a cupcake or something nice to take home and take back to your little bubble? Has that been all right for you? Or
yeah, to be honest, I've never worked so hard during lockdown. To be honest, it was absolutely crazy because I took on, Bradley's approached me about supplying them, and I just thought, it was on the way to Greenfields, because I was still doing Greenfields because it was a farm shop, and obviously they were open to the public, so I carried on with there, and then Bradley's asked me, and it just oh my God, it just went crazy. So I was probably doing like 3 times the amount of cakes we do in a week for everywhere now, all on my own. So it was, a lot of sleepless nights.
How many people do you have working in your bakery now?
Just one who does 2 days a week and one who does 8 hours. So it's literally
so it's
at the
you
moment.
still.
Yeah, I have got one worker who's on long-term sick at the moment. So hopefully when she returns, we can sort of extend the menu a bit more. But yeah, everybody seems to think that I've got this big army.
Well, yeah, you would look at it and think you do.
No.
You must have a serious passion about it then. I mean,
and drive.
Yeah.
Because your products never look not flawless. Everything it all looks pretty and nice, and see, that shows that you've got love and passion for what you do.
Well, in the beginning, I was so OCD. If the icing wasn't quite right, they'd literally end up in the bin. So I've had to relax a little bit. Obviously, some, the icing isn't quite perfect, or there's, but I just had to let it go a bit. 'Cause otherwise,
What's your favourite thing you do? What's your go-to?
See, I'm not actually a cake person. My favourite thing, like this week we've done some old-fashioned bread pudding, and that is my favourite cake.
Yes.
Like that and simple thing like a chocolate cornflake cake is probably my favourite. I do like the Rolo cakes and red velvet, but
I think red velvet. You can't go wrong with red velvet.
Yeah, we've had red velvet.
Here's something very interesting that a lot of people don't believe me on. Traditional red velvet actually contained beetroot.
Yeah.
And I turn around to people and they go, "No, that's disgusting. Not eating a cake with beetroot." And I was like, "Well, you eat carrot cake and you love that."
I love carrot cake.
Yeah, see, exactly. Everyone loves carrot cake.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one of my other favourites. But I've done other weird combinations like Marmite flavour and stuff before.
Oh, yeah.
And the Marmite and the icing just tastes of caramel, like a salted caramel.
Yeah.
Because of the salt and obviously with the sugar. And I've done tomato soup ones before. Those weren't as popular, but they did sell, and they didn't taste of tomato soup. I've done sweet potato and pecan. I do them quite a bit.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any sort of happy mistakes, things that you've done in the kitchen that you've just gone, wow, this is amazing?
I'm trying to think now. Sometimes just layering things up with a tray bake sometimes. Sometimes we just think, I'll put a bit of that and put a bit of that and layer them up, and then they go really well. So,
and what's the biggest sort of selling flavour that you sell?
There isn't so much anymore. When I remember when I started in Dorley, even before that, when I was doing it from the town park, there'd always be about 5 different flavours that I'd have to do every day, which would be like the classic lemon meringue, cherry baked one, and then Kinder Bueno was always popular, ones like that, and then it literally escalated, and so every day somebody would go, have you got the salted caramel? So we'd end up starting doing them every day, and then it just literally escalated. So now there's so many different flavours. There's probably about 12 that we do every day because they are really popular. And then we just try and change the other flavours up daily. So
these are all flavours that you've chosen yourself, you've tested them yourself. Do you ever get people, because obviously you still take orders of people, do you get people that try and go, I just want a normal birthday cake, just vanilla and all stuff like this, and you're like listening to it and you're like, that's going to be horrible. You know that's got to come out of your kitchen and you've got to present it to their family and friends, and they're going to eat it and they're going to be like, you know what, this isn't very nice, it's so sicky, but it's what they've ordered. Do you ever try and encourage people to be a bit more different on it?
Yeah, we haven't had so many
I ask because that's what happens to me all the time, and I'm like, I've got to give you that cake, it's not going to be good.
That was more so a case when I used to do the decorated fondant cakes, and people would be asking for this and that, and you just knew it wouldn't look right. So you try and persuade them a little bit, but obviously you had to go ultimately with what they wanted. With the cakes, only sometimes they'll come in and want things like chocolate fudge cake with lemon curd in, and I'm a bit like, you sure?
Yeah.
But yeah, not so often. And to be honest, flavours like vanilla are actually really popular. We have some people who just come in out of all the fancy flavours and just want plain vanilla.
Yeah.
So.
And do you do anything with like Zoom food or anything with deliveries?
No, I've considered it, and during lockdown especially, but I think obviously I've got another baby on the way. At the moment, I like my team small. I like it quite simple, and I'm thinking in the future, especially once my other baker's back and we're back to a full team, I think next year I may look into that. But at the moment, like I say, it's just having that work-life balance. It's more to manage.
Outstretch yourself.
Yeah.
She says that. So this time next year she's going to have a warehouse just on the outskirts of town where they all get baked.
She's got
staff of 40.
Oh no, it's actually like a headache for me. So
we've got half term coming up. Do you guys do anything special for half term, or do you just enjoy the increase in?
Yeah, we've got the bubble waffles going and the milkshakes and stuff. Again, I've not been so organised for Halloween and stuff. We will try and do some Halloween things this week. But yeah, it'll just be sort of business as usual, really, with, like I say, bubble waffles we do every day. We've got Shmoo milkshakes, luxury milkshakes. Those are always more popular during half
I can't
term.
believe how you fit everything in. Because it's not just what people see there, it's also you're baking for near enough that day and the following day, and then having to do prep work and all the washing up. Oh, gosh. I used to hate that part.
And this is the thing people don't see about bakers. I mean, my dad and my stepmom in Ireland, they would be like, yeah, we've got to go do prep work at 4:00 in the morning, you know, and they'll be gone until they come, you know, it's just ridiculous, the amount of work that goes into
my
baking.
favourite, this sounds ridiculous, my favourite work of prep work is like if I was doing a wedding cake and I sit down at the kitchen table and I'm just sitting there for hours making sugar flowers. That's the only part I like. The rest of it, I'd be like, oh my God, here we go.
And I think people think, because you do it on a bigger scale, it's, you know, super tidy and it's all, you know, you're just super quick at it like a machine, and it's like it's not always like that. It is tight, very long hours. It is
you get the pounding feet,
a lot of brain power. Yeah,
definitely.
So. Well, look, I'm going to leave this quite short because obviously it's we're going to get kicked out the parade in a second. It's 10 to. But I'd love to invite you to come on properly again and talk. And if you ever want to come on and throw us any promotions, or you want us to help you with anything, just come down. Yeah. How can people sort of support you, sort of social media, things like that, obviously?
I think that's a big thing, actually. I think when I started, my followers and stuff, it was so easy to pick followers up on Facebook. You do a competition, you get a big following and stuff. But Facebook, obviously, over the years has changed, especially I've noticed in the last couple of years. So when your posts used to reach like thousands of people, like for instance, I've got nearly 19,000 followers on Facebook alone. And with that, you can post something now and it'll say like 1,000 people saw this post. So it's like Facebook's, because they're trying to get you to pay for advertising all the time. So that's a major thing. So every little like we really support, every share is a massive help. Because obviously, you know, especially during the winter as well, you know, unless people see it on social media and they're not wandering around, that is such a massive help to just share.
Do you have a certain time of year, so I'm going to ask one more question, do you have a certain time of year where you're more busy than others? Because I can't work out whether it be summer or winter.
Yeah, probably the summer, I'd say. I think people are just out and about more. Winter, like I say, October, we sometimes have a quieter month, but this month has been okay, so yeah, there is usually, and then Christmas, it sort of picks up, obviously, it goes a bit crazy just before Christmas. January and February, I used to always close the Dawley shop for 2 weeks, and then when we opened, it was always crazy busy, so I don't know what it's going to be like this year. It's obviously lots of things have changed.
I think it's going to be heaving. Everyone's been locked away, and they're all going to want to come out, aren't they?
I hope so. Crystal, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for dropping in just before you get out of here. But guys, this is a short one, but we're constrained on time. Absolutely. Give our website a follow, which is www.theshrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk. This has been recorded at the parade, the shopping centre, the parade shops just behind St Mary's. Make sure you pop in and get a Crystal's cupcake.
You can't miss it. As soon as you come through the door, you can't miss her.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.